Well, good evening and welcome back. Those who have been with us at some point today and those that haven't joined us yet, you're very welcome too. It's lovely to see all your faces. I am absolutely thrilled that we've got Gabriela with us this evening. I had the pleasure of winning, yes, winning some coaching sessions with Gabriela just over a year ago. I won those. I was at the Viva event in Spain, and I was thrilled to bits, as anyone that was there will remember, because I bounced off the stage. The excitement, didn't I? So we've over the last year we've had quite a few lovely calls together. And as Deb and I were putting the summit together, I said to her, we have to invite Gabriela as one of our speakers. And naturally, Deb was like, yes, yes, yes. So that was a done deal. So we're thrilled to bits that you're here with us this evening,
Well, a
Gabby.
bit she said yes.
And Gabriella said yes, of course. Why wouldn't she? um, so I'm pleased to bits you're here this evening, and it's going to be a gorgeous call together. So I'm just going to remind those of you who haven't been with us yet, this summit is part of our annual in-person conference. This part is the free part. If you want to come to our conference, it's a paid event, and we get together for 3 days in North Devon, and it's absolutely beautiful. So if you enjoy these 3 days, then you will absolutely love it. So do have a look. I will make sure it's in the chat and it's on all the emails how you can find out more. But also we have an open inbox policy. So if you want to ask questions, please do. Always happy to interact and hear from people. And it would be lovely to meet you in person or be with you in person. So please do check that out too. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Deb and Gabriela. They'll talk for about 40 minutes and then we'll take a 5-minute comfort break before we come back for questions. So
Hopefully, Gabriella will do lots and lots of the talking.
I'm sure she will.
I am sure she will do. Yeah, I am really, really thrilled. Thank you very much for saying yes to being here. Thank you very much for being so generous and agreeing to be here and sharing with us. So when when you said yes, one of the things, as we have talked a little bit about the titles for people's talks, what I tend to do is sit. I ask God for an idea of what might work, and then sit for a bit. And straight away, interestingly, as soon as I just sat and thought of you, just pictured your face, it just came straight in, what's always present. So I thought, well, clearly that's Gabriela's topic for tonight. So make of that what you will. But I just love these nudges, and I love following them and love to see what comes from them. So thank you very much for being with us, Gabriela. What do you make of your title, and what what have you got to share with us?
Well, I read the title and it created a lot of curiosity in me. And I thought, I wonder what they had in mind. So fortunately, I met a little bit with Beck. And, when I have a course or if I'm sharing something, I like to really sit back and like you reflect. Um, and so I have been pondering like, what's always present? What's always present? What's always present? And this morning, early in the morning, around 6:45, I was still like asleep and awake, in that twilight zone. And the words of the title came to my mind, what's always present. And very loudly, I heard our connection with mind. Um, which I'm thrilled with, to have those insights sometimes come through so clearly.
Mm.
And I thought how interesting this is because I want to share this, what came up for me in this title through this last year, because it's been a year of a lot of deep pain because I lost a friend of mine to cancer. Excuse me. And so I'm 55 years old, and I would tell you that for 54 years of that life, although life has brought, as it always does, intense experiences, I was always a happy-go-lucky kind of a person. I am a happy-go-lucky kind of a person. I had never experienced sadness or upset for long. Um, Through deaths, through divorce, through loss, through changes, I would be upset 1 or 2 days and then it would just lift along. So this last year was a different experience. As soon as I heard that my friend had been re-diagnosed with breast cancer, and as we learned what the possible prognosis was, there was a permanent huge cloud, I would say, I don't know, the size of Russia or Canada or China or something like that, come over my whole presence. And when I looked at myself in the mirror, I looked sad. Um, there was a lot of tiredness because sadness in a physical manifestation for me creates this deep tiredness. And very interestingly, also, it affected my cognition. Um, okay. My bedroom became just this place where I would go and rest
Mm.
and sleep 14 hours a day, a few weeks at a time, which is a lot. Um, and it was discovering how the effects of the principles can take you to a place that feels brittle, um, and brittle and what would be that word? Delicate. I felt delicate. I felt like things would hit me, and almost like when you have a cut, every time you cut it and it just sort of feels a bit
Mm.
sensitive. So anyway, I was moving along. But one of the things that I noticed, even though my emotional state was really low, is that I wasn't worried about being that sad. I wasn't worried about sleeping 14 hours, 16 hours a day. I wasn't worried about crying. And it was very interesting because the people around me, my friends, were trying to get me out of the feeling, right? They were like, oh, so we can go to a party. Oh, we can have a dinner, right? Oh, blah, 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 blah. All with lovely intentions. But going to a party was the last thing I wanted to do. Right? Like when you're feeling like crappy, you don't want to go to a party. So I would experience, I cannot do anything. Tell you how deeply in pain I was. And at the same time, there was a knowing, there was a gentleness, there was something that I understood that helped me experience this year with a sense of calmness, safety, and security. So I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but for most people, that was contradictory. And one of my sister-in-laws, which will remain nameless to protect the innocent, I was telling her that during one of these days, I was in my office and I was noticing that I could not really think well. My cognition was off. It felt fuzzy, it felt cloudy. And I had this little nudge from inside of my being, and what I heard was, go outside. You're wasting your time here. Because I was trying to do something that I couldn't do. I was just not thinking the way that I needed to. So I went outside, and I do have a passion for gardening. And the next little insight that came through was make the hole that you need to for that new plant that you just bought. Now, I'll tell you the insight that I wanted to have. The insight that I wanted to have was remember that your friend will always be alive. Remember her body is just physical. Remember that energy is forever present. That's the insight I wanted to have. I've had that insight before. But that's not the insight that I had. The insight that I had was make a hole. So I made a hole, and I was like, making a hole. And then I noticed there was this other little whisper from wisdom. And the whisper was, turn on a TED Talk. So I turned on the TED Talk, right? And it was just a random play next episode. And the episode was about a husband that had just lost his wife to breast cancer. And I cannot tell you my reaction. I was just like, really? Really? Like, this is what we're going to do, right? And I continued to listen. It was interesting because there was something in me that continued or that followed these bubbles of wisdom, these gentle whispers of mind. So I listened to this. And the guy says at one point that his wife used Black humor to move through that experience. And so there were many funny things that he shared, so I'm laughing a little. And then he comes to a point that says, and then there was the army. And you're wondering who the army is, but it's her group of friends that would come through to the house to deliver food, to bring her lotion, to bring her coffee, and they were ever present. And they would not take no for an answer. And so that was so parallel to what was happening with my friend that I lost it. I just lost it in that moment. Today, I see that episode as such an opportunity to feel fully my upset about losing my friend. And when I share that with my sister-in-law, which will remain nameless, because I thought it was a beautiful experience. It was just, I just felt like I was guided to go from the office to the garden to this whole thing. I felt like there was this beautiful opportunity to cry fully. I felt that the wisdom of the universe was really supporting me in this experience. So I saw it as a beautiful experience, really. But when I shared it with my sister-in-law, she said to me, wow, you really are a masochist. You really like to hurt, right? And I thought, huh, That's interesting. Because upon reflection, one of the things that has happened in my learning about the principles is that I have stopped being afraid of feeling bad, of feeling sad, of feeling nervous. I actually was very nervous this morning. I noticed my heart was palpitating and I was like, oh my God. And I noticed I have a tendency to get nervous. And living without fear of feeling has been a huge gift to my life. And so I was thinking, why am I not afraid of hurting? Why am I not afraid of feeling bad? Why am I not afraid of feeling insecure? And there are two things that happened that I think are helpful. The first one is a while back, I heard, you know, that sentence that that oh my God, I can't believe it's forgetting his name. Sydney Banks said. The one about if only people lost or were not afraid of their experience would be different. And when I heard that, what the direction that I moved to was, okay, why would we not be afraid of our experience if we understood the principles better? What would give us the opportunity to not be afraid of what we're feeling in the moment? And what I realized is that because our feeling state, it's just letting us know what's happening in our mind, like a mirror. In a way, all the attributes that we know about thought are also true of feelings, right? So I knew that thought was passing through my mind. And then at some point, I also saw, oh, so my feelings are also passing through my being, my psychological and my physical being. And that's the only thing that's happening. Like a breeze, like when you're walking and there's a breeze that's very cold and it gets you, to the bone. That was very helpful. That was very helpful to understand, oh, as deeply upset as I may feel, this is thought in action only. And like thought, it will go through. I realized that just because I was feeling something very strongly, it didn't mean that it was damaging me. And the one thing that I've had the opportunity to see this year was mind in action all the time, even through this deep, deep, deep sadness. So we tend to think, or at least I tend to think, of mind being obvious when everything is beautiful. Like when you feel peace and when you feel love and when you feel life is wonderful. But this experience of seeing mind in the saddest year of my life has been such a gift for me, because even in this year, I've had constant insights. I've had insights about go to sleep. You need to go to sleep. You're exhausted. I had insights about you need to let go of things because right now you just don't have a lot of energy. I've had insights about what to eat. I've had insights about what to read. Another thing that was almost magical was that a month before my friend got re-diagnosed, somebody gave me a book called When Things Fall Apart. And I remember thinking, oh, but what's the part? You know, my life is perfect right now. Everything is going so well. I had no idea that in a month, things were not going to be the same. And this was my companion for 10 months. And so I would read it and I would read it and I would read it and I would cry and I would read it. But how did this happen? How does it happen that a book gets to you right before this thing is about to change, right? How does it happen that in the middle of just a total upset, you hear a voice? Well, I describe it as a voice. You can say like you have an insight that gives you your very next step. Even if the very next step is sit here because you don't know what to do next. So what I learned about mind this year is that even in the times where it's not obvious to us, it's constantly present. Because how can it not if it is our spiritual ingredient? You know, so I know that sometimes the way that I think about mind is I'm connected to mind, I'm not connected to mind. Sometimes it feels like I'm, you know, really flowing, and sometimes I'm struggling. But seeing that through the struggle, there is this gentleness and this kindness to our very nature that will help us move through any experience. That was a huge gift of this year. Discovering mind in a completely different way, in an unexpected way, um, in a neutral way without any expectations, primarily because I had just no energy. It sapped me. This experience sapped me of my energy. So when you have very low energy, I think, well, I didn't have the energy to use to, you know, the blah, 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 blah. It was just like, okay, let me just live here the best that I can. So I wanted to read this to you because I think it explains why we can always lean or remember, understand, realize that no matter what the experience is, our nature never changes. That's what's always present, our very nature. And so in page 31 of the missing link, he said, Sid wrote, the personal mind is in a perpetual state of change. And I could see that this year. There were times where I was hopeful. There were times where I was really enjoying my friend's presence. There were times where I was upset. There were times where I was so sad. Then he says, the universal mind is constant and unchangeable. And I saw that. Oh, I can have insights even when I am very, very upset. Even when I am very, very sad. I was with her to the very end. It's the first human that I've been with when they pass. And there was one moment where she asked me, go talk to the nurses. I need something for the pain. And I felt like I was in front of 1,000 people with a huge light on me. And there was a more than important thing that I needed to get accomplished, which was talk to the nurses about giving her something that would help her go to sleep. The medication that they had ordered was not available. And I'm thinking, why are they giving her something that they don't have available? That like doesn't make any sense to me. So anyway, I remember pausing and I remember thinking, I need to get this done. I have to get this done. And walking to the nurse without any idea of what to say, and then being in front of the nurse, the words just came out of my mouth without any effort. And she got the medicine. So this year for me has been a gift. It's been intense. It's been super intense. But it's been a gift because now I know even deeper that there is always, always, always the presence of the energy of life, the intelligence of life, that no matter what our personal experience is at the moment, we can count on to guide us through the next step. So what I'm left with is this great sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the year, gratitude for my friend, gratitude for mind helping me to walk through with as much grace as I could muster up. Gratitude for my husband that never, ever, ever requested anything that would come up to our bedroom and say, do you want something to eat? Do you need something to drink? Do you want a cup of tea? Gratitude for the people that were trying to create parties and, dinners so I wouldn't feel bad. But most of all, gratitude for knowing that, realizing so deeply that there is such infinite wisdom behind us all the time that's helping us. And so I think I developed an ear for those whispers because, they're fleeting, right? Sometimes it's like just a very quiet whisper of go dig a hole. And it's not what I want to hear. I want to hear something more spiritual. Um, so yeah, I come out of this with more gratitude and more appreciation, more trust in life, even when I don't understand exactly why would this happen. Um, so it's been an honor. This year has been a lesson, an honor. I left, I'm out with more gratitude. It polished me. It polished me to a deeper depth. So think I'm done. It is.
No. Thank you. Thank you. That was a gift. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing and for sharing your real experience, because I think that is so important. Because I think we can even if we haven't had an experience even vaguely like that, I think we can still see ourselves in people's experiences. We can still, inside ourselves, we can find those feelings, you know, that fear, that scaredness, that, and those moments, those whispers. I think it's so beautiful to be able to hear that, and to see ourselves in whatever way we experience it. I think it's so helpful to hear how and I think it's lovely to hear from different people how different an experience of these things can be, to kind of see that there isn't one way to experience a thing. There isn't a right way to experience it. You know, you talked about sleeping for 14 hours, being tired, being out of the game some of the time, your cognition affected, and just being, and you know what? I'm okay with what that is. And somebody else could have had an entirely different experience of that. And it is like, yeah, that's okay too.
Yeah, because one of the things that happened through this experience for me professionally is I understand how people that experience chronic states of mind can feel. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. Your mind is so engaged that I see your hand back. Thank you. Your mind is so engaged that the physical manifestation of all that really saps you,
Mm.
right? So I have a client that has experienced depression for a long time, and you know, the doctors are telling her, well, you just need to exercise. Well, you just need to go out there and be more social. And I'll tell you what, when you're in the midst of all of that,
Oh, what you said there, Lou.
right? You're like, are you kidding me? I just barely have enough energy to go to the bathroom. That's as much energy as I have. And then when I'm back to the bed, I'm exhausted. So it made me a lot more thoughtful.
Mm.
It deepened my compassion. It deepened my listening too. So just professionally, whoa, this was a great experience. It's so easy when we are not experiencing a low state of mind to come up with thoughtful things to say, or helpful things to say. Well, just try this. Well, try that. It's just your thinking. Well, blah, blah, blah. And I'll tell you what, though, it just, in the moment when people were doing this, of course, I understand with goodwill,
Mm.
I got annoyed. I just thought, like, you have no idea what you're talking about. I can hardly muster enough energy to go down the kitchen and get a cup of tea. How are you asking me to, go for a 6 mile walk? Anyway, so yeah, I learned a lot in every aspect.
Our experiences are such a gift to us and a gift to the world when we share them. So thank you for your generous sharing of your gifts this year. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. shall we take a little comfort break now and come back
Sure.
in 5 minutes and open up for questions and more sharing? Are you good with that, Gabriela?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, we'll see you back at
Yeah.
41 minutes past the hour.
Perfect.
5. Welcome back, everybody. Pleased to see you've all come back, and especially pleased to see that the speaker came back. That was a fear of mine for a long time, but as I just said before we press record, what I've noticed about 3 principal speakers is they like speaking, so they usually come back and speak a bit more. So that's always good. So it's now time for questions, comments, interactions. If you want to share anything or ask anything, please either raise your hand, you can wave it at me, or you can use the react button and raise your electronic hand, and we'll hear what people have to say or share. And while we're waiting, Gabriela, if you want to let people know how they can either connect with you or if there's anything you want to let them know about the work you do, now is the time.
Well, there's a website I think you have.
Yes, I'll pop that in the chat.
Yeah. reimaginingchange.net org. No, it's not .com. So help me.
.org.
It's good.
So horrible. This is so horrible. This is typical me. reimaginingchange.net
Org.
org. There you go.
It's in the chat.
Go ahead, ask me again. Go ahead.
That's perfect. And it will go out on all the emails with the replay as well. So that's fun.
Yeah, so there's a couple of videos there that you can see. We actually had a Reimagining Change program right at the pandemic because we wanted people to feel okay through this massive change. And then, of course, I do, one-on-one work and classes. I actually am very involved with an organization called ICG, International Coaching Group, and that's an organization that teaches coaches in Spanish. So, I'm from Mexico City originally, so I do speak Spanish. So that's some of what I do.
And I can personally recommend your coach.
Well, yes, Beck and I have the most amazing series. And so we've decided to continue. We don't care. We'll just continue.
We don't care. We're just going to carry on, aren't we?
Break all the rules. Who made the rules if you have to stop?
Perfect. So, anybody got any? Oh, Ellen, there we go. I was about to ask, and there you were. So if you can unmute Ellen, feel free to. When you find the unmute button, there it is. All yours.
I guess I just want to reflect back and just say thank you for sharing. Because I lost a very dear friend in April from suicide this year. And even though we all had this feeling that it was coming and it was, going to happen. And, you can't prevent, you just, there's no words. I'm not even going to belabor the words, but I know that feeling you're talking about where you, like, everything right here is madness and it's like all crazy, it's all going on, but there's this presence behind that, behind all that stuff. And I guess all I'm saying, it's not even a question, it's just a reflection back to say that I know that place, and it's a day by day and it's a minute by minute. It's a loss I wish I didn't have to experience with her, but at the same time, there is a piece that I'm digging into that her death has allowed me to dig into, if that makes sense. So that's all I have to say. I mean, it's not really a question, but I just wanted to say thank you, because that was a beautiful mirror to me. And sometimes it's just nice knowing that someone else has something similar, has a similar experience and a shared peace in the midst of all the tumultuous. And it goes totally against, when I was at the funeral, it goes totally against I had such peace. I've never had so much joy even. And I remember they asked if I was speaking and I just thought, my God, I'm smiling. Like, what am I doing? But there was something inside of me, but then it was also, then came the other waves of emotions as well. But the thing that stayed constant truly was this knowing that she was free, and I was glad for that. Like, I was able to, I don't like what happened, but I was able to rejoice in her freedom from such pain and such struggle. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you. I don't know if you feel this, Ellen, but one of the things that I've thought before is bad experiences, sad experiences, upset experiences are not coming from mind. I'm not seeing something or something. I used to think that. What am I not seeing? I feel greatly liberated to see that I don't have to stay within the bounds of my expectations of the human experience. That I can cry. Sometimes I hear her voice in my head. I miss her dearly. Sometimes I think of crazy things she used to do. But I'm greatly relieved to know that even at my lowest, then it's okay. That mind has me, and that it's almost like we've created this idea that understanding what we understand to the level that we understand it will keep us in a very narrow, happy, peaceful, joyful, graceful, blah, 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 blah path. And if we're not there, there's something wrong. I don't see enough. I have to work in my grounding. I have to do this. I have to do that. Blah, blah, blah. I feel differently now. So I don't know if you feel that or if you've seen something like that, Ellen.
Yes, I think that's all I can say. Is yes.
Mm.
There's something that has evolved from it where there's an ease to my human experience to just be in whatever and it be okay. And it was never always like that. I can be you rest assured there was a different human experience. So but her yeah, I think she's teaching me too, along with it, to just be in it and sit with all of it, and not judge it. I think for me, that's the big piece, to not judge what I'm feeling. So I don't know if I'm answering it all what you said. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think you said something very important. The way that that lesson came to be in my world was, you're feeling really sad, period. That's it. You're missing her, period. You're hungry, period, right? So the observation of our own psychology, also as a gift of mind, Meaning this is what I mean. I realized how low energy I was at times. That's a huge gift for me, just to step back and consider, okay, well, what makes sense now? Or I am deeply sad right now, which I feel is such a gift for us to understand our psychology in the moment. But I think one of the tendencies that I had was I am very sad. I would recognize that, right? Because mind allows us to see how we function psychologically, right? Through thought and consciousness. But then what I would do is, and there's something wrong with that. You have to work at understanding better, because I was under the misconception that if I understood this, then my life would look like this. This is it. So now I know better, and I learned what you just said. Oh, I'm learning something, period. Because it's a gift, right? To understand what's going on. I think the trouble that I got into was I made a judgment about the insight that I was having in the moment about my own psychology. And that distracted me and took me away from the gift of the insight. So I love what you just said.
Yeah.
I noticed something. I'm going to say this because I've been noticing this a lot. I notice that sometimes we make problems out of our observations, our insights. Because, for example, I noticed a lot that I was very tired. And I've never had a problem sleeping. I value sleep. But there were days where I was sleeping 18 hours a day. Okay. And this lasted for a bit. And a friend of mine asked me, well, do you think you're depressed? Do you think you should like go see somebody? Do you think you should take something? And I said, no, I think I just need to sleep because I'm tired, you know? So I'm not saying that somebody else may not benefit from taking medication. I think that if you are in a place where we need to take medication, I would take it. Okay. So that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that sometimes we have an insight and we may not like it, or we may have a judgment that's different from the insight that we're having. And now this beautiful observation that could help us move through our lives with more generosity and more ease and more grace, all of a sudden become a problem to be solved. So that's something that I'm learning a lot about. Why do we make problems out of observations? When our nature, right, the principles, these forces of nature that we operate and we are, they're like, hey, watch out. Hey, you're tired. Hey, go to sleep. Hey, like all these generous solutions that are ordinary. But we miss them. I miss them because I had an idea that this should be different. So the conversation, the constant conversation, or the constant rising of helpful ideas go unused because our mind is on somewhere else. And so then we doubt that we're supported by the energy and intelligence of life. Simply, it's simple because we have our eye on something else. So this year, I've learned to just really, I think I'm developing more an ear or an eye or sensitivity to what rises that could be helpful.
Yeah, George, do you have a question? Do you want to unmute?
Yeah, thank you for this. It really resonates with me because we are going through a very difficult situation with one of our children that is a really long-term situation. And it's really interesting how I really do see the wisdom in it, and for him and for us. And and it's taught us so far about, the importance of our own self-care and looking after ourselves so that we can look after him. But also, the full gamut of emotions, right? As you're trying to navigate services and they're stirring up, you're having to say what happens and it stirs up all these emotions because you're having to say how it is. And then you're laughing at the situation because that's how you cope. And then they're stirring it up again and you're laughing and you're in all these emotions. And I don't know, there's just something, and I think there was something in what you said about like tuning in, and I'm sure there's so much more for me to learn about tuning in to the wisdom and of the small voice and hearing it, and when I've overridden it and the consequences to me because of that and all the rest of it, because sometimes we can't, we don't have the benefit of being able to rest and things like that. So it's really resonated with me what you said, and it's something that I'm on a very deep learning path with.
Yeah. Yeah, you might learn a lot, and you may also just have these jumps beyond time of understanding. It's it's for me it was such a discovery of my nature. You know what it is? This is what happened the most. I thought I was like this, even though I've had moments where I can see the oneness, even though I feel close to people very easily, even though all of that, what I noticed is how defined I thought I was as a human being. Um, Through this, I saw how my friend and I were expressions of mind, that there was never a disconnection. And that is phenomenal when we realize we, your child, my friend, we are an expression of mind in action. And that has implications for how we experience things. So, when I was telling you that my friend said, go and ask the nurse to bring me medication, I need to go to sleep. Oh my God, George, I just felt like, how do I do this? Right? I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about medicine. I'm not even supposed to be in there. The husband was supposed to be in there. I mean, there were a lot of things that I just got so fearful. And now what I've noticed is, I mean, I was really fearful. And then somehow when I got in front of the nurse, the words came out in such a way that she got what she needed. And so I've reflected on that and I thought, well, if it is true that we are this intelligence and energy of life, how remembering that changes how I move through life. Even though at times, like I said, I was very tired and I was very sad. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Lucy.
Gabriela.
I was gonna like, Lucy's gonna say something, I know it.
Yeah, well, firstly, oh my God, it's so cute to see you. Your adorable little
So
face.
you too.
And I've missed you.
It's
Um, it's so awesome listening to your story. It's just so beautiful. And yeah, thank you for sharing so raw and honest. I love that. I love that about you. I think that's why we connect and yeah, it's great. And like that there's been something going on for me very recently, and I've been struggling a lot with stuff and having a little meltdown and stuff. And quite, I run a podcast with Angelina, and I was sharing it on our podcast that went out today about these meltdowns. And I love what you're saying because a very, very similar experience for me while I was struggling last week with this and having this absolute meltdown and feeling all these feelings. And there was something inside of me that was kind of, this is okay, Lou. This is absolutely okay. And I felt it to a depth that I haven't felt before. So I'm just like, I feel like I'm on a similar learning journey with you with that. And it's just, it's it's mind blowing in it, and it's such a gift, and I love it. Um, and one of the other things that you said as part of your story, this like the little whispers of wisdom when it's like, go and make a hole or whatever it is. Oh my God, yes, the magic of that, because we think we bloody well know, don't we? And we think we know what the next step is. And when you're looking at something and you want something and you think that to take steps to do something in that way, the traditional way would be this. And then this voice says, read a book. And I had that exact experience a couple of months ago. Me and Beck had let's just say an opportunity came up. And we went forward with it, but not in the traditional way, and we didn't know how to move forward. And what we heard was read this book, and we had two people in the space of 24 hours share this book series with us that we've just read. And we were like, what has this got to do with anything? And I can't put into words, I can't right now, but the mind blowingness that's happened since we've read that series of books in the last 6 weeks. We've just like binged on them. And it's the point is exactly that, isn't it? Listen, listen for those little whispers. And if they say, read a book, and we want to fight and argue against that, and it's like, who are we to do that? Just notice that little voice of wisdom. Yeah. So yeah, just wanted to share some of that with you because it's just been lovely to listen and hear your story around it all. Thank you.
You know, yeah, we just don't see the whole entire picture at times, you know, often. We just don't. I mean, there's no way I would have gone and bought that book ever at that time,
Yep.
ever. And you know what you remind me of, because you said that two people told you, right? Or several people told you.
It was nuts, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I realize? I mean, I don't know if this is like way too out there or what, but you know, well, let's give it a try.
Let's go.
What the heck? Um, we have everything in this moment, but I mean, like everything. Mind is everything in this moment, in spite of our presentation, in spite of our, what did it call it? Personal mind. And so I think mind uses itself in so many ways. And one of the ways, I think, is through others in a very magical, you know, Persian carpet kind of a way. But what I mean by Persian carpet is I have this little carpet here, you know, and like there is this black thread here, and then there's this red thread here, and you would not think ever that they would come together, but they do. And so I'm a little bit at awe, like, oh my gosh, you know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah, like it almost feels like this whole universe is behind you.
Yeah.
And there are things, I just had this task that I had to do, and I'm going to do it. Somebody asked me to do this task, and I was like, I want to do this task, but I have no idea how to do it. Zero. So I started getting really frightened. I could feel my heart palpitating. And then, like I don't know, like what, something appeared, like a commercial. It's like, dude, mind in action. You're an expression of that, kind of like that. I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know exactly how to do it in this moment. That's true. But what that reminder did for me, it moved me from fear, you know, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know, to like, well, what's the very next step? So it's doable, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Awesome.
thank you. Thank you for being here and for sharing that.
Thank you.
Mary, did you put your hand up? Did I see? Please feel free to unmute.
Yeah, Gabriela, I just wanted to go back to you said you were talking to the nurse and about the medicine and how the words came out of your mouth. And I didn't know anything about the principles or insights or anything. So we're backtracking 5 years, the middle of COVID, and my mother was dying, and there was no opportunity to speak to nurses or doctors. So one evening I went in and I went, she could die tonight. Can I try and talk to someone? And obviously, because of fear, we were all fearful. I was blocked. So eventually I got to speak to someone. I said, I'm just worried in case the pharmacy won't be open, in case there isn't authority, that it happens during the night and there's no medicine available. And when the person realized that I wasn't being fearful, that I was just being concerned, she got so relaxed that after a few minutes invited the doctor to come to the premises, which took about 40 minutes. And the doctor drove over to meet me, all gowned up now and all that. But it just kind of showed to me, I suppose, if I hadn't got the words or had that insight, the situation could have been completely different. And to think that a doctor was contacted and got into a car and drove in the height of where nobody was going in to see anybody, that I'm just looking back on it now when I hear you talking, and I said, gosh, I did something like that. I never give myself credit for it, or an understanding of it, an appreciation of it.
An appreciation.
Yeah.
Mary, I think that happens all the time. I really do.
Yeah, yeah.
Except in my case, I don't know, in your case, maybe I'm not as present. Maybe I'm more distracted with my other thinking. I don't know. Something.
Mm-hmm.
But through this year, I think what happened was I was so tired. It almost feels like there was less of my own,
Intelligence.
world. Yeah. That it was very easy to hear. Well,
Yes.
it was easier.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
But I'm starting to suspect that it's it's always present. That's what I'm starting to suspect, right? This constant, like, hey, maybe you should go to the right. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be life-changing for us and for others too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be an amazing idea if we all got a little bit suspicious. We became detectives.
Yeah, even like this morning when I was telling you that I woke up and I just heard it so clearly. What's always present is mind in us. What's always present is this amazing energy, in spite of the fact that you may be having a meltdown. Like, and can we see that even in the meltdown, deeper or, beyond that, this energy is intact. Even when our friends commit suicide, even when our friends died of cancer, even when we get into arguments, even if our children, are having a situation, no matter what, there is something that's undeniably ever present in us, always.
Thank you for doing such a beautiful job of showing us what is always present.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for creating this space, for bringing us all together, and creating a community across the world. So thank you. Thank you for being here, and have a wonderful day or evening.
Thanks to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. You'll be
Thank
back
you.
at
Thank
10
you,
a.m.
Gabriela. Fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
We're back at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning with the beautiful Robin Tetlow. So please join us if you can. It will be wonderful to see you there. Thank you again, Gabriela.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks,
Good night.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
everybody.
Thank you.